Alrighty, folks, it's been in a minute or two since we've caught up with the lovely Beth Traverso, but it's time. It's time we go and dig deeper. We'll see what's going on in Seattle. I read earlier in the month that Seattle is the worst performing real estate market at -4%, I think it was. So we're going to find out what is going on, and then we will step back and actually review actuals from July. But I'd love to see what's going on because I don't think we've caught up in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Beth, welcome back. Hope all is well. What's going on in the market?
Thanks. Is it horrible? Is it the worst in the nation? That I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. What I can say is on the east side where I am of King County, which is more tech heavy, has been dealt a very big blow. And we've been seeing that for a while now. On the Seattle side, not as much. So prices in my little neck of the woods are down 7.97% year over year, which isn't quite crossing that 10% threshold, which
it's headed there.
We'll call a crash, but it's skirting that. Yeah. And then Seattle's down 1.04% in their median sale price.
And Seattle is the cheaper of the two markets. So I remember that correctly?
Seattle's the cheaper of the two. So just for some reference, the median sale price in Seattle is $999. So we'll just call it $999.5. We'll call it $1 million.
Sure.
And on the east side, it's 1.42.
Oh, wow.
Well, 40%. Actually 1.575 if you count all the areas on the east side.
Oh, so you're 50% higher than Seattle.
Right.
Proper.
So, and it's a lot more tech heavy on this side of the lake than on the other side of the lake.
All right, so let's talk about that because one of the things that I've always postulated was if you're above the median, and I always say 50% above the median because that normalizes the country, right? Some markets are 200, some markets are 1 million. So when you're 50% over the median, you have this thing called the wealth effect, and obviously we have the stock market wealth effect. We also have people that can get nervous, layoffs and things of that nature. So when you say the east side has been dealt it. Is really suffering from it now. Is it the sellers? Is it the buyers? Is it just a frozen housing market and nothing's happening? What's going on?
It's kind of an interesting combination of those three things. And so from the seller's perspective, there's the sellers that are selling right now are usually people who their plans are already in motion and there's no going back.
So they're moving out of the country or moving out of state. That can mean a
few different things. Yeah, like they're relocating out of the area, whether it's out to a different part of Washington. I'm still staying in Washington, but different part of Washington, or out of state or out of the country, because a lot of them came from some other country and then maybe they're going back to that country.
Okay.
Or what have you. Sure. Or we've got a lot of divorce sales where it's a court order, they have to sell the house.
So you have motivated sellers.
Yeah, estates, like they have to settle the estate and the house must be sold and they just have to take their lumps.
Yep.
Or the other one is people who they already bought their other house.
Yeah.
And they have to sell. So there's a lot of financing tools out there right now that are different versions of bridge loans where people are borrowing the equity of their current home and they use a conservative numbers when they borrow that. So there's meat on the bone, but they already use that equity to buy the next house. And this house is selling one way or the other. It has to sell.
Got it.
Those are the ones that are most commonly some combination of those things.
Yeah. So sellers, all of that I would throw in the motivated seller, right? They have to sell. This is not wish pricing. And if it doesn't sell, I'll take it off. These are motivated sellers.
Yeah. I'm not seeing too many. I mean, I do see some wish pricing with those sellers, but the people that are actually selling, are have to get realistic. And if they've been coached right by their agent, they are ready for that. And most people have been watching and seeing what's going on with their neighbors and be like, wow. So, but there is a bit of this frozen effect too, that you mentioned where a lot of listings are just sitting on the market, even when they already are at the slashed price and they're amazing. And nothing wrong, and I've had some listings like that too, where it's like, hey, we're well below sometimes even what the seller paid for it, if they bought recently, which is another thing I'll remind me to go back to. Okay. But they're already taking the hit. It's an amazing house that's staged, prepped, remodeled, all the things done, and nothing. And that's in the areas where we have a huge surge in inventory. Like in my little corner of the east side, we're up almost 70% year over year in our inventory. So that makes a huge difference. So then it becomes a race to the bottom for the motivated sellers, because you have to do something to stand out from the pack. Some people are just waiting it out and going like, hey, we're already this is the fire sale price. Like, we're not going any farther than this. And they're just going to wait. And sometimes that works if you wait it out. But some people don't have the luxury of waiting. And so all you can do is just keep going down until you find that. And to go to the buyer side of things, buyers are aware of this pattern. So a lot of the buyers that we talk to that are going out doing their house hunting weekly, we meet up at the open houses, talk to their agents, etc. They've been circling for a while. They're aware of what's going on in the market. They've seen what others are selling for. They've been in the thick of it for a while. They're circling. And sometimes what we'll see is when people circle for a very long time, one person strikes and then they're all jumping in it. So I have had multiple offers after 90 days on the market sometimes, which is interesting.
Crazy.
You got all those people like, let me know if something happens. Let me know if something happens. Let me know. So like I get an offer in, I'm calling all those other agents like, hey, I've got something. Right. This is your chance. And then they come to the table at that point. Because I think the buyers that are looking now, they want to buy.
But they also want a deal.
They want a deal. Who can blame them? Yeah. A lot of them are asking for big credits. And so I've been coaching my sellers to be ready for that. So sometimes I'm seeing $30,000, $40,000 credits, which, on a $1.5 million house or whatever, like that's
2%. Yeah,
I know. So sometimes, they're doing that to get their 2-1 rate buy down usually, and maybe some closing costs too. Like you got to offer something to help make it easier for them to pull the trigger.
Amen.
Especially with rates going up. Like if you can buy that rate down, why wouldn't you? So yeah.
We'll get to the July stats in a second, but you asked me to remind you about sellers selling below purchase price. What do you got going on there?
So what was I going to say about that? It's funny how these things is kind of the epiphany. So what we're seeing also is that, I remember now. Okay, sorry. Sometimes it takes me a moment. Interestingly, we're down. Thanks for bearing with me. We're down year over year about $70,000 in our median price. However, we're up $200K from 2023.
Wow.
So if you look at it, a lot of people still have plenty of equity. So they're like, oh, okay, maybe it's not as much as I thought it was before, but because most people that are selling now, I got some sellers that have owned for 20, 30 years, I work with a lot of those folks. And then others who maybe they bought in 2020 or 19, 18, somewhere around there. And they've got a lot of equity because they're still up from 1.265 to 1.485 and 3 years, even with that 70K hit. So when you're talking about big numbers like that, they can afford to take a blow like that, unless there's somebody that just bought in 2024 or 5 for 1.8. Now they got to sell for 1.6. Like that hurts because feels like an actual loss.
Yeah, I mean, you and I know this. If you get into a real estate transaction and you're not there for at least, in most markets 5 years, maybe a high appreciating market like Seattle 3 years, you're going to lose money because of transaction costs. It's just it's the game, right?
We've always said 5 to 7 years is kind of the general safe rule of thumb.
Right.
But in the cases where I've had people have to sell quickly lately, it's been more because they got a job transfer or something.
Right. And they got to go. Yeah.
So they just have to take that hit, and it hurts.
Well, let's get into the July transactions. Again, we have 5 metrics we're going to go through: transactions, price, listings, pendings, and months of supply. We already touched on price. Let's do that one more time. What was July price year on year?
Yeah. So on the east side, it's 1,575. And in Seattle, it's just a hair under $1 million, 999.5. So we've been dancing around that million for a long time.
So in Seattle, again, it's down 1% and then down 7.9.
In Seattle, it's down 1.04. East side overall, interesting. East side overall, it's only down 0.32, but in my little tech-heavy area, it's 7.97. It's really localized, which is another thing I want to point out.
Concentration.
You really got to be mindful of the specific areas that you're looking in.
Okay.
Yeah. And then months of inventory, we're at 3.34 months. So it's not huge, but
that's huge for Seattle. I remember you and I did one time. It was like 0.5.
You know, 0.5, 2. We were at 2 months for the longest time, like a little under, a little over. Now we're at 3.34. People are feeling that difference. Like
for sure.
When it goes from like 3 houses for sale in a community to 20, or like there's one near me where we went from 3 to like 30. Oof. That's huge, and so you're seeing big price cuts in places like that.
Okay, that makes total sense. What about I don't know where you want to go next? Transactions, active, pending, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, so actives in Seattle, it's up 16. Inventory is up 16.48%, and on the east side overall, it's 38.45.
Oh, 38. That's a lot.
But in my little neck of the woods, it's 69.85, and that's in like Sammamish area,
So there might be something going on in the tech corridor, is what I'm hearing you say.
That's what I'm hearing. Even more than like if people don't like the mayor in Seattle or whatever, like that. I don't think that's what's driving this. I'm not saying that's not a factor, but this is a tech-centered phenomenon. That's what drove the prices up so much, and that's what's causing the correction now.
That's interesting. I'm gonna have to check with Adrian and he's seeing the same thing in Orange County.
I would be curious to hear what people are seeing in other parts of the country. You said the Bay Area is actually up.
It is. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that's skewed because of San Francisco. San Francisco's bananas. I just for July, which is the month of, there were like, I think it was 18 properties that sold for $1 million over asking. 18 different transactions.
Okay.
That is bananas.
But they took their hit a little while ago.
Correct. Yeah, AI is just
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rush of money. Yeah.
So that makes me wonder, because the Seattle area trails behind the Bay Area. Maybe we're taking our lumps now, and it might.
Yeah, I mean, if you follow San Francisco, you're in it now, and I mean, let's just be honest. San Francisco was in it for 24 months, but now that pressure has just been released, and San Francisco's flooded with money right now. Just bananas. Yeah. Okay.
Interesting to see. Like, we haven't seen that here yet. But maybe we will.
Yeah, you got transactions and pending.
Yeah. So overall in King County, our closed sales are down 10%.
Okay.
Which is, noticeable.
Sure.
And in Seattle, this is interesting. In Seattle, it's down 13.96%.
Huh.
So, and on the east side, it's down 10.81. So, but in my neck of the woods, it's been hit hardest in price. It's only down 4.72. So it makes me wonder, are we at a bottom?
Yeah, that's what that probably means, right? You've taken your hit lumps. Now the bottom feeders are coming in.
Yeah.
Inventory. And also let's not forget, part of that's because your inventory's up 69%. So you got more choices.
Yeah. So that, I thought that was an interesting one. And then what do we have next?
Pending's the last one.
Pending. Okay, so pendings overall are down 11.43% year over year in King County.
Okay.
And down 16.5 in Seattle and 16.92 on the east side. So kind of the same on that. But it's funny, in my little hard hit area, it's 0. It's exactly the same as it was a year ago.
Well, that again, I think goes back to you may be bottoming, right? Your inventory's up, let's call it 70% for round numbers.
Yeah.
Pendings are flat, and then transactions, so that you got hit the hardest. You maybe what happened is you got hit first.
Right. I think we're on the cutting edge of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I hope we're bottoming.
Yeah. I mean, it's not fun. That's for sure.
It's an interesting role to be in. I'm coaching people through this. And so a lot of my guidance right now for new sellers is to be ready to pace yourself, or it could take 80 to 100 days.
Oh, that's going to be a wake-up call for Seattle. 100 days, Beth? What are you talking
80 to 100. And I've had several listings go under contract.
Dude, that means Christmas. I'm just doing the math. That's like Christmas.
Could be. Some are selling within, so like I have one they listed last week. I would consider it hot-ish. Like it's getting a lot of activity and I'm getting a lot of calls about, I've got somebody really interested, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And, but they're circling. That one will either go under contract in 7 to 15 days, or I don't think that one will take that long. But some of these ones that are a little more of a slow burn, you just got to
be in it.
Ride this out. And here's the other thing that buyers are expecting. A big price cut. They want to see days on market and a big price cut before they move forward.
Got it. And what's a big price cut, like 50K?
Yeah, it has to be 50 to sometimes 100K. And it kind of skews our numbers for days on market because in our Northwest MLS, if you do a 5% price drop, you can cancel the listing and relist it as new. So
game the system, folks. Yes.
It games the system because it also, like, our list to price sale rate, list price to sale price ratio
gets tweaked.
Means nothing. So I didn't even bring that up in the stats because like it's like 98% or something like that. But yeah, if you look at the original list price, then that's different.
That's very different. Very cool. Well, this is why you're on the channel. You're the best of the best, one of the hottest markets. Remind me of one thing. You always tell us that your spring selling season starts really early, like January.
Yeah.
What does September through December look like? Are you headed to the slow season or what's going on?
Here's what I'm expecting. If we can go off of every other year, you know. And so what we'll see is, so August is usually pretty slow. Right now, people are doing their last hurrah before school and getting their outdoor time in, vacation time, etc. After Labor Day, we do usually see a little bit of a bump. So we'll see usually more inventory, which is not what we need right now, but a little more inventory of people listing after the summer, and also more buyers refocusing and jumping in to close before the holidays. Then also what we start to see is this inventory that's piling up will start to get picked over because we will start to not see as many new listings come on the market. Gotcha. And the buyers that have been circling for months will start to say, whoa, some of these good ones are selling and we're not seeing new ones come on. Maybe we should make a move too if they really do want to buy.
Got it.
And then we'll see some people take their homes off the market over the holidays, so less inventory there. So it'll dwindle down and our inventory will go down between September and November.
Okay.
And then it gets really low over the holidays.
Yeah, really quiet. Okay.
And that's how we get a reset in January. So if there's going to be a reset, it'll happen January, February.
Understood.
Hopefully nothing comes along to ruin our spring selling season.
For the third year in a row.
I know. Yeah.
You got tariffs in Iran. Yeah. What's coming next year?
I don't even want to speculate.
Yeah. No, not again.
Yeah.
Beth, you're amazing. Big part of the school community. If somebody wanted to get a referral to a top 1% agent, how do they reach out to you?
Yeah, they can find me on BethTraversogroup.com, my website. And if you're on school, you can message me in there. And I wanted to say, I'm going to be at the ORAT event.
Yay!
I need to get my airline squared away and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm going to be there. I think this will be my 5th ORAT event.
Yeah, I think so. You were at the trial run in Fresno. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a blast every single year. It's my favorite event of the year. So if any of you all listening or watching are on the fence, I really recommend it.
Awesome. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.